and that's featuring Jeff. Excuse me. Elvin Jones plays drums. I mean brushes on the whole record.
Okay. Oh yeah.
It's beautiful record. Um, Also check out Herlin Riley. If you check out all the stuff he did with Winton and even with Ahmed Jamal, he's on a lot of
Yeah.
like late Ahmed Jamal stuff. He's playing beautiful brushes. Um, yeah, every time Jeff Hamilton plays, it scares me. Lewis Nash, Kenny Washington, those are the people that if you want to know and understand the brushes, at least to me, you have to see them or just go check out videos of them. So
Yeah. Okay. So talking about yeah, this one. So what's how do you get comfortable? Yeah, just switching between different times and obviously
you, you
in
got to
the
share. You got to share. So hey, can you turn on that metronome again? I'm gonna.
okay,
I'm.
what
I'm.
tempo?
The same one. It's fine. 100.
Okay, 100.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, there you
So
go.
if you're playing like dang dang to 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 dang 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 to dang dang 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 1 2 3 right?
Yeah,
So if we were to take Cherokee, you can turn it off now. Um, if you were to take Cherokee, you could just practice that transition, right? Just
yeah,
set up the metronome, set up your drums, and just play time and go in and out of 4/4 and 3/4. Those are things that are incredibly helpful, right? So again, it's funny to me when people always ask, they're like, "Well, how do you, how do you, how do you get good at that?" Well, you practice it. Now, for me, when Christian came up with that arrangement, we had to play on the spot. But as we played more every night, we got you get more comfortable. So I think
yeah,
a lot of what we're trying to, I think a lot of what we're having challenges with as musicians, and Takeshi and I, we talked about this the other day when he and I was on his podcast. A lot of what we're having issues with is because we just aren't practicing the issue, right?
yeah,
Most of the time we'll say, man, how do you get better at playing fast? But then we practice playing at 60 BPM every day.
yeah,
Well, if you want, so if you want to get better at something, you have to practice whatever that thing is. You can't
yeah,
you can't get away from it.
yeah. That makes sense. Okay, just to not make it selfish, but to bring in the people in.
Sure.
Alistair asks, and where did you study? Alistair.
Man, I study everywhere, but I mean, I would say in terms of being a drummer, a jazz drummer, when I went to Juilliard, that was really helpful. And I studied with Carl Allen, Lewis Nash, Billy Drummond, um, Carl, Billy, Lewis, and Hurlin. And then I paid out of my own pocket because he wasn't teaching there yet, and I went and studied with Kenny Washington.
Okay.
So yeah,
Yeah, Billy Drummond. I got to check more out, but I know the
man,
other.
Billy is one of the best. Um, he's one of the best living jazz drummers and teachers. Not many professional drummers in jazz are good teachers.
Yeah,
Billy is great because what Billy will do is Billy will like come to you and figure out. Yeah, Steve Picataggio is my main man. He studied with Billy too. He just commented
okay,
on
yeah,
that.
good deal.
Um, what Billy does, and Steve knows this because Billy did it to him. Billy will figure out where you are, like
Yeah,
in your pedagogy or your playing, and he will create a curriculum for you. So like
yeah,
when I got to Billy, I was really hard bop. Like I played so much like swing, and I because I was coming very much out of Philly Joe and
yeah,
Art Taylor and even like the modern guys, Greg Hutchinson, Willie Jones Jr., Kareem
yeah.
Riggins, Rodney Green. I was coming out of that, and Billy, the first thing he said to me was, "Yo, we need to open up your sound." He was like, "I love
Okay,
what you're doing, but we need to open up your beat so that your beat is more flexible, and we need to also open up your sound so that you can play with other people." He was like, "Because the way you're playing right now is kind of one dimensional, and I think you have the ability to play with different people." And then the other thing that helped me as well was when I joined Kurt Belling's band,
yeah,
and I was working with Lawrence Hobgood. I remember Lawrence telling me I needed to go check out Peter Erskine and
yeah,
guys like John Hollenbeck and Jack DeJohnette. And these were players that I had not really checked out a lot. But as I started checking them out, it brought back the things I learned with Billy, which was
yeah,
having a more flexible and open beat. So anyway, those are kind of the main influences that I studied probably change my playing into what people are hearing now. But again, man, I study everything, so but I kind of pinpointed today.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Thanks for that. Yeah. I don't know. Should we do some more listening or should I throw some more questions in?
Um, man, there's a Keith Jarrett record I want people to check out. With the European drummer. Oh, here it is here. I'll
Is it
find it on my laptop.
okay? You can play from your side as well.
Oh no, I can't. No, I'm not. I'm gonna have you play it. But
Okay.
it's man, this record is so beautiful. And
If it's on YouTube or Spotify,
yeah,
yeah.
you can get it on there. I gotta find it. Um, but it's Jan Christensen, I think is the drummer, and
Who?
Jan is Jan Jan Christensen.
Okay.
Um,
John Christensen. Yeah, that's a new name for me to check out. So yeah.
here it is. Yeah, here. Keith Jarrett, Spiral Dance.
Spiral Dance. Do you know what album it's off? If not,
Yeah.
I'll
Let's see here. Um, it's such a beautiful record. Yeah, it's on the record on Belonging.
Belonging. Okay. Let me see if it's on Spotify. If it's not on Spotify, then
Yeah, it is on
YouTube.
Spotify. I'm looking at it on Spotify.
Okay. Belonging. What year was Belonging made?
I think it's in the 70s.
Okay, because yeah, I'm in 2000, so I got to scroll right down.
Yeah, it's
1980.
early. It's kind of like a bluish white cover.
Yeah,
It's
there. Yeah, I
yeah.
got it. And
Play
Spiral
a little
Dance.
bit of that.
Okay, Spiral Dance. Okay, yes, I've got the drummer's name, yeah, and the rest of the band's name. Okay, Spiral Dance.
Cool. So check this out. Play Giant Steps.
On that same
Coltrane. No. Giant Steps on your Coltrane.
album. Okay, John Coltrane, okay. Bear with me
It's
30
okay.
seconds. It should take 30 seconds. If you see how quick I can do this. Giant steps. Okay. So people can see the record.
Cool. So one of the things I want people to notice is the difference between Jan Christensen, how he had a much looser beat, right? Much
Yeah,
looser, very open versus Art Taylor played, swinging very bop. And that is something we don't talk a lot about in jazz. What we
yeah,
do is we'll either just be like, hey man, like I love Philly Joe or Art Taylor, or you have cats who only check out Jan Christensen and kind of more the European side of the music.
yeah.
And what we don't deal with as drummers is if we want to play this music, we should know how to do both of those,
Yeah,
right? We
definitely.
should be able to, and because both of them are they're different philosophies of how to approach the music. One is really loose and open and free. The other is this is where it is. And I find that most drummers, particularly younger drummers of this generation, they only deal with one school
Yeah,
of
yeah, yeah.
playing, or they won't even deal with swing at all. they'll just go and deal with straight ahead. And like for instance, they'll check out some of my more modern friends like Nate Smith and Jamier Williams, Marcus
yeah,
Gilmore, and Henry Cole, and what's my other man, Mark Juliana. They'll check out all those
yeah,
guys who are great and they're my friends, but then they won't also check out the traditional side, or they'll just you have people who do the opposite. They just check out the traditional stuff, but they won't check out Mark and,
yeah,
and, and Marcus. So I think in this new age, we need to really be more diverse and make sure that we understand all of the ways to play, because this music is really broad, and I
yeah.
think you'll be better if you have a broader understanding.
Yeah, thanks for that. Yeah, definitely very important to be able to play open and straight ahead as well. Because yeah, with different band leaders, they'll require different things. So yeah, that really is important advice, and I definitely will
Mm,
take that on. I do need to do that more myself.
yeah,
Throwing that out there. So yeah.
check out
Any
stuff that makes you uncomfortable.
true, true. Any other records for open playing that you could recommend?
Oh man, I mean, you know, it's so many. I mean, Billy Drummond's a great one. I mean, he's got some records with guys like Marty Ehrlich. I think he had some things with like Steve Kuhn. I mean, man, it's on and on. I mean, I would say, Google is a great tool.
Yeah,
And just Google, just be like drummers from the '70s, jazz drummers from the '70s, and I mean, guys like Rashid Ali and
yeah, yeah,
Alphonse Mouzon. I mean,
yeah,
just go as far as you possibly can. I mean, I remember I'm embarrassed to say I had a chance. Rashid Ali kind of adopted a guy by the name of Jamani Smith, who's a great trumpeter, who plays with Michael Bublé. And Jamani went to Juilliard with me. And I remember Rashid kind of adopted Jamani. And I mean, he was hanging out all the time. Like he would be hanging out on campus and just
mm.
be around. And because I wasn't into that kind of playing, I was like, oh, Rashid Ali, okay, yeah, whatever. Like, yeah, I hear he did some records with Train or whatever. And then like when I started studying with Billy, Billy hit me to like Rashid. And
Yeah,
like all those, and I was crying because I was like, shit, like I could have had a chance to like just sit with Rashid and like, sorry, get his opinion about the music.
yeah,
But it was almost like I was afraid of him because he was so anti the establishment, and I thought
yeah,
that it was going to
yeah,
change my playing into something that I didn't want it to be. Versus when I got open and started checking out other people, it made the things that I was already doing, it made them better.
yeah, yeah. That will make sense. Yeah, thanks for that. Yeah, the other thing, and then I'm just gonna remind anybody that's got questions, like put them in the comments, and yeah, we'll try to answer them as best as possible. So the other thing is, what makes a musician busy and in demand? Okay, it's more drumming that we're focusing on, but I guess it can be to any musician as well. Like what makes them in demand, keeps them busy, what makes them still playing even at like an old age. Like I'm looking at Roy Haynes still playing.
Yeah,
There's what's his face? The Jimmy Cobb still doing his thing.
yeah.
Even Lewis Hayes. But there's others. Herbie Hancock is still doing his thing. Marcus Miller. So what keeps
I mean, I
people?
think to me, I think what keeps you in demand is your flexibility, right?
Yeah,
Like people, when you look at in-demand players and jazz and non-jazz, take a guy like Bernard Purdy or a guy like,
yeah,
you know, Steve Gadd or Hal Blaine
yeah,
or, Al Jackson Jr. or,
yeah,
Steve Jordan. And then on our side, Philly Joe Jones, Billy Higgins. There's
yeah,
something very flexible about their playing
yeah,
and their ability to adapt and to adjust. So when
yeah,
I hear players who are like, man, I'm not working, the first thing I say to myself before even hearing them, I'm like, they're probably not flexible. They probably don't have an
yeah,
open beat. Their beat is probably one dimensional, and they also probably don't have good time.
yeah,
you know, because here's what I know: if you are a bass player and a drummer and you have decent time, anybody will like. People always need drummers and bass players that have good time, even if they
yeah,
don't necessarily like your style. They may not even like how you solo, but if you can keep good time, you'll work all day long. So I
yeah,
think
yeah,
if you want to be in demand, um, I'm looking at this quote. Chuck just asked a really great
yeah,
question. But yeah, if you're in demand, I think what's important is to know why. And again, I think the why always goes back to your ability to play with people. It's kind of like being a kid, right? You have the kids that are well at playing with other people, and then you have the
Yeah.
kids who only like to be by themselves. It's the same thing. So anyway, I want to jump to Chuck's
Yeah, go
question.
ahead.
He says he asked about Kurt Elling and when did I know it was time to move on. Well, I'm still working with Kurt. I kind of teamed back up with him about a year ago, but I worked with Kurt for about probably 5 6 years um, exclusively. And then
Okay.
in the middle of that, Christian McBride called, and
Okay.
Christian like so I started working with Kurt, and probably after the first 2 years, Christian called just to sub, and then it
Okay.
changed from me subbing to he wanted me to make some other gigs. Then it went from him make me wanting me to make some other gigs to he put me in the big band. Then it went from me doing the big band to he was like, I'm starting this trio. So the thing
Mhm.
with Christian actually evolved very organically. And I got to a certain point with Kurt where Kurt is first of all a friend of mine. Like he's a very dear friend. And he I was starting to like have I was subbing things out because Christian would call with certain opportunities that I wanted. And the difference is they're both great musicians, but I felt like I had spent a lot of time playing with singers.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
you know, with singers, it's amazing, but there's a certain limit on what you can do
yeah,
musically. And when Christian called, I was like, man, I love playing with just an instrumental group because I also hadn't had a lot of opportunity to tour
yeah,
with just an instrumental group.
yeah,
So when Christian called and was like, hey man, we got more, like the trio was starting to really come together, people wanted to hear that group. I basically went to Kurt and I was just like, hey man, you know, I'm tired of like double booking, and I'm kind of tired of like not being a man of my word about certain things. So you know what? I think I should take a break from the group and kind of go do this other thing. And and he was so supportive. He was like, man, you have an opportunity to like do something great. And you know, he and Christian are actually really cool. They've recorded together. So he was like, hey man, you're family. And sure enough, like I went with Christian, spent about 7 years with Christian, and then when I felt like it was time to move on from that, I spoke to Christian about it, whatever. And then from that, I went and started. I got called to play with Joey Alexander.
yeah,
And then after that, Kurt's manager called me and said, "Hey, Kurt wants know if you want to come back and make some gigs." And I was like, "You know what, man? It would be great to like meet back up and make some music with Kurt. Like I feel like I'm more settled and I feel like I'm a better musician, and I think I could bring something cool to him." And man, we synced back up and he was like, "Hey man, I want you whenever we can have you." So yeah, I think sometimes when you move on from a group, sometimes it may be temporary. Maybe there's something else you want to develop or in your playing. And then you can always come back to that, or you could create projects where you still work with that people. Because I
yeah,
look at the people I work with as family. I mean, like Takeshi's a person, you know, he's on the call, and where we made music for a long time. Then we took a break. He had some great things he was doing, but we're
yeah,
talking about at some point, maybe in 2021, trying to do some other stuff again. So I think
yeah,
music to me is an ebb and flow. It's like a life, you know. You may
yeah,
spend a lot of time with somebody, and then it may shift, and then you come back, or maybe you don't come back. But I think it's important to make that decision from music. Like anytime I ever decided to leave or move on from a situation, it was a musical decision of things that I
yeah,
wanted to do. So,
yeah. Can you see the question from Tapikarin?
yeah, it says, Maria, yeah, been meaning to try reach out to you. Can't figure out what it is. Sounds like, oh, yeah, that's so I'm using the rim shot. So I'm doing the rim shot. Hopefully you can see this.
Okay,
Um,
we've got
can
20
you see this?
seconds. We've got
Okay,
20
cool.
seconds remaining.
Oh,
Is
okay,
it
cool.
okay to
So
jump
just
back in
yeah,
within a
yeah. Go
minute?
ahead. I'm sorry, man, but it's basically kind of a rim shot, a little bit. But
What,
yeah, send me
15
an email.
seconds?
I'll send them a video about it.
Okay, so we'll jump back in within, yeah, about a minute. So there's
Cool.
5 seconds. Hi guys, we're just gonna wait for Ulysses to jump back in, throw in your questions. I'll make it like probably another 20 minutes, maybe 15, 20 minutes. So throw in your questions. It's not all about me just asking him my questions, but join in. So we're just the whole point of this is just to share the knowledge of music and drumming and yeah, how to be the best musician you can be. So put in your questions. Thanks to those that already asked. Um, yeah, I'm gonna try get Liz's questions in because Liz put a question. Well, she gave you at least four questions, so I'm gonna at least try get one of her question. Is what is it? Yeah, I think he touched on people that helped him. I'll ask him, what do you have in store for the future collaborations? Yeah, that's what Liz asked. Bav, thanks for your questions. Um, yeah, just waiting for Ulysses. Okay, he's coming in. So yeah. Okay, Ulysses is coming in now. Just waiting for him to come.
I'm back.
Yeah, how much time do you have? I was
Man, I
thinking.
probably got about 5 minutes because I got to run to another thing.
Yeah, okay, so
Cool.
5 minutes.
Sure.
Okay. Do you remember the question that was asked before, or
You
you
want me to
forgot
go
it?
to the one about the rim tap?
Yeah, what?
Okay,
Yeah, I
sure.
forgot what it
So,
was.
yeah. So basically, here's my So I'm gonna show. Here's the butt of the brush, right? So
Yeah,
basically, with the stick, I was kind of doing a basic rim shot, just kind of like that.
yeah,
And sometimes what I would do if I want that muted sound, I would also put my hand on the drum and hit the stick on the head, and that gives that kind of click. So it's kind of like I'm hitting like a little bit of the head and a little bit of the rim, and that kind of gives that sound as well. So like when I play Brazilian stuff, I try to get a lot of different sounds out
yeah.
of the drums. So.
What records was he referring to? So I can make a note of them.
I think he was talking about my record, "Falling Forward," which is a trio record with Joel Ross and Ruben Rogers,
Yeah.
and this the track "Maria de Mercedes."
Okay.
I know I'm butchering that name because it's Portuguese, but it's a Javan tune that
Yeah.
we played.
Okay, yes, I'll check it out. So, yeah, just good tips for that. And then the last thing, okay, for me,
Cool.
before you go, there's is tuning. Like, how do you tune your drums?
Oh man, so that's another thing I want to deal with in terms of like, hey mom, Audrey, um, she actually has family in London. So
Oh, that's
yeah, yeah,
what
she has
Gray
family in
sing.
London. Yeah, 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 yeah. So but anyway, so I would say the way I tune is very much I have different tuning. So one is bebop tuning. Like if I'm playing more of a straight ahead uh thing, I would definitely like try to have that 12-inch tom like a little higher. And
Okay,
really, I kind of tune my toms as thirds.
okay,
Yeah, and then I would say like when I'm like I do a lot of recording and producing of different styles. That for
yeah,
me is very much, man. I just at that point I'm just like I want the drums to be full and like uh, record well.
yeah,
So yeah, I think for jazz, I want the drums to sing. When I'm playing funk or different styles, it's more about um, the padding and just like I want them to feel good, you know.
yeah,
So it's hard to describe, but yeah, I change my tuning a lot. My snare is interesting. Like if I'm just playing live, I have my snare a little higher. If I'm
yeah,
playing, if I'm recording, I noticed when I would be mixing records, there was a lot of high end, like uh, harmonics and like tones coming out of the snare drums like that like it'd be like pink like some I didn't like how it sounded, so what I started doing was actually loosening my snare up a little bit, the
yeah,
top head, and letting it kind of sound a little wetter, and then
yeah,
that way I didn't get a lot of those high tones. The mic wasn't picking up those high frequencies and I didn't have to EQ it as much. But
yeah.
another thing I'll say with, yes, he's asking about tape. I'm endorsed actually by Moon Gels, so I
Oh, you're
swear,
endorsed?
and even yeah, and even before I was endorsed by them, their Instagram handles are Tom. I
Yeah,
was already using them because they're really great, and you can just put them on different heads and different things to like bring the drum to life or to deaden certain things. But another part of tuning that I want drummers to know to really explore is the bottom head. Herlin Riley
yeah,
taught me this when I was learning from him. The bottom head is the difference between your drum really settling in or it being unsettled. Like you ever put a new drum head on and you're just trying to get that you're just trying to get that sound right. You're trying to get that thing like popping. A lot of times the bottom head isn't seated. And
yeah,
so that's kind of why it hasn't come together. You know what I mean? So I
yeah,
think if you really deal with that bottom head, I think at that point you can really have more flexibility with the drum.
Yeah. Okay. And then I know you gotta go, but there's this
Sure.
question.
Yeah, go ahead. I'll take one last
I'll,
question.
I figure I'll just chill out with the brushes for the ballad, but I have to use a backing track for OGDS. Do you think taking a chorus is the way to display myself?
I don't understand what he's trying to say.
That was from Alistair, so I'll read it slowly. I figure I'll just chill out with the
No, no, I
brushes.
can see the question, but I don't understand what he's
Oh,
trying to. I don't understand what he's trying to say.
okay. Alistair, if you can send the question again and re-explain it, that would be
Yeah, because
great.
when he's saying like he's got a backing track, but do I think taking a chorus, like is he talking about taking a chorus to solo?
Yeah, let's give him some time to respond to
Yeah.
Alistair about brushes. It was the second part of a question about help for auditions. Two part. Okay, Alistair responded. Alistair, can you repeat the question again about brushes? I think it was. So let's
Okay,
wait for.
so first is he'll chill out with the brushes for the ballad. Okay, cool. And he has to use a backing track. Yeah, I don't. Yeah, because with the backing track, I'm assuming he's talking about playing brushes along with a backing track.
Oh,
Which
for audition online. He's got an audition online. Okay,
oh, he's
Alistair,
got.
just
Oh, okay, he's got an audition. Okay, and so so does he mean taking the chorus like soloing?
body and soul. He's playing body and soul, and he's
Oh,
playing
okay,
on Green
okay,
Dolphins.
okay, okay.
Can you see it? Can you see his
Yeah, yeah.
footage?
I'm saying he's playing body, and so so should he? What is the question?
Go on, Alistair. Keep typing, Alistair. So the more you type, the more your question can be answered. So keep on typing, Alistair.
Yeah,
We're
because I
waiting
think
on you.
yeah, because I think what for me, you know, I
Yeah,
think
it's
for
good to
me,
know. It's good to get as specific as possible.
yeah, because I think there's so many different ways to practice brushes, particularly with the
Oh, 240 BPM for Green Dolphin Street. Yeah, Alistair, rephrase the whole question. So just
yeah.
rephrase it so we can understand it clearly. So just type the whole thing again, Alistair, so we can answer you. So Alistair,
Um, yeah, I mean, I would just say, okay, yeah, and oh, okay, should he take a whole course? Okay, yeah. So he's talking about soloing.
okay,
In general, for me, like if somebody's auditioning for something, unless they specifically ask you to take a course on something, I would not take that much time
okay,
because again, when I'm auditioning somebody, I'm asking them specifically to like, I want to know how they play good time. I
yeah,
don't,
yeah,
like, let me say. So I'll finish this point. I want to know if they can play good time because if I'm looking for a drummer for my program or an ensemble or whatever, I need to know can they play good time. So if they're taking a lot of soloing, what I will tell you is for a lot of young drummers, when they record live solos, that is normally when it gets bad
yeah,
because especially if you're new to jazz, you're trying to figure out what to play and stuff like that. Um, so I would play less. I see him saying getting playing too busy. That's not good because that just shows immaturity, and you don't want
yeah,
that. So I would really be simple. The last thing I'll say too, I get a lot of questions about soloing for drummers,
yeah.
and I want people to know that it's important, but it's not important to me. I feel like
Okay,
you want to learn how to express yourself, but to me, what is the most important thing as a drummer is to play good time. So
yeah,
even in your soloing, like when I'm playing my solos, I'm always trying to figure out how can I make the time feel good, unless I play free or something. But how can I make the time feel good, and how can I give people something that they can hold on to? Because
yeah,
just because I'm soloing and I'm a drummer, that doesn't change. Like your
yeah,
role doesn't change just because you take a solo. People still need to figure out how to stay connected to the time. So if
yeah,
I'm all of a sudden I'm worried so much about soloing, trying to prove something to people, I don't agree with that. And I
yeah,
also think as drummers, we spend too much time thinking about soloing and not enough time thinking about time,
yeah,
which is
yeah,
why they're not working. So you, in one
yeah.
regard, they're like, "Hey man, how can I work more?" But what? Do you have any solo ideas? First of all, I've been playing the drums since I was 2 years old. I started working in the church when I was about 9 years old, and I started playing jazz and working when I was about 16 years old. I have not been hired because I'm a soloist. I've been
Yeah,
hired because people want me to play time, right?
yeah, yeah.
So I think that if you want to really be better, focus on the thing that people need. Like, for instance, right now, we are going through a lot of craziness in the world. Who are the people that are allowed to work? Essential workers, right?
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
to me, if you want to be a drummer or a musician that works, you need to have the essential things that the music needs, right? Which
yeah,
is time,
yeah,
adaptability, and listening. If you
yeah,
listen well, you can adapt to whatever, and you got good time, you will never not work a day in your life. But if
yeah,
all of a sudden you start focusing on all these things that aren't essential, then people aren't, they'll like you, but they won't really have anything to do with you. So to
yeah,
me, we need to shift from these sort of selfish things that we like and really focus on what does the music need. I always say music is king. You know, I'm a man of
yeah,
faith. So
yeah,
music to me is like God. Music is king. How
yeah,
can I serve the music? If I'm
yeah,
not serving the music, nothing else I do matters.
yeah. Yeah, I think Alistair responded and he said thanks.
Cool.
Yeah. I, so I'll throw in one last one before you go.
Sure, sure.
Yeah, Bav again. Like he's a drummer that I met in the big band thing at
Cool.
Morley College. So yeah, I know he's definitely hungry for knowledge. He was talking about what about trading for fours. Like I saw a little
Hey,
bit. Yeah, he said
yeah,
yeah, but
trade. Yeah,
what?
trading
Yeah,
is
I'll read what he said. Yeah, but you
okay.
have
Good.
to have the ability to trade fours, etc. Otherwise, can you actually play jazz?
Do you have to have the ability to trade fours to play jazz?
Yeah, I'll read it again. So he said, yeah, but when you was talking, he was responding when he was talking, and he said, yeah, but you have to have the ability to trade fours, etc. Otherwise, can you actually play jazz?
So the question is, can is he considered a jazz player if he can play if he can trade fours?
So yes, I would
Yeah, I
say
mean, I
so.
think it's something that's necessary, but again, I go back to timekeeping, man. At the end of the day, if you can keep time, people will teach you that. When I first started playing jazz, I didn't know how to solo. I didn't know how to trade fours.
Mm.
I didn't even know what the form was. I couldn't sing a melody. I mean, I'm serious. You
Mm.
know, I didn't know a bunch of records. I didn't know what having a touch was. There was so much I didn't know. So I think what I would say to Alistar and also anybody else that's joining this chat, um, who's trying to figure out how do I become better as a jazz musician or a jazz drummer. My thing is be curious and listen and be willing to grow. And
Yeah.
all the things you don't know, you will learn. I mean, I always say to people when I started playing jazz, I was 16 years old, and Mulgrew Miller had, you know, when I met him at 18 or 19, he had to hold my hand and play a ride cymbal. Now I got people like you wanting to interview me about playing the ride cymbal. And so I say that to say not that I'm great, but more so that if you stick with something and you be consistent and you grow and you be hungry, you will
Hmm.
get better. So it's not about the qualifications you have when you start. It's about how you're able to grow in the midst of starting and completing that journey. So
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah. And
So
Bab's saying great advice. So
cool,
yeah.
man. Well, I got to jet out, but Daniel, man, I'm also happy to do more. You know, the book should be available any day now. When it is in a few months, if you want to hop back on and do something, or if there's other topics, man, you know I respect you, so I'm happy
Yeah,
to spend more
I
time with you.
respect you more.
Cool, man. Take care,
Yeah.
brother.
Okay, so safe,
All
and we'll do another one soon, man.
right,
Thanks for
man.
your time.
Peace. All right, of
All right,
course.
man. Right, see ya. Okay, just waiting for Ulysses. Okay, thanks to everybody that's joined. That Ulysses is a cool person. So Alistair, Bav, I know you asked most questions. Like, PM him, like DM him on Instagram. Like, he will respond to you, and like, he's a cool dude. Um, he's like when I just repeat when I had the drum lesson with him for an hour. Most of it was talking, and I learned a lot from that drum lesson from him. So, Alistair and Bav, I'm calling you out. Ask your questions to him in the DM, in Insta or on Facebook, and mark my word, he will respond to you. He's just that kind of cat. So, thanks for